What's up guys, it's Tyler and I'm High Crucible Steels, and tonight I'm going to be resharpening a blade that has been giving me some issues, and I'm not sure if it's the heat treatment or not. I'm not going to go out on a limb and say it is, but it is more common than most people will think. This is a Kizer Drop Bear 2, so it is a pretty new knife, and the blade steel is, I believe, AEB-L. And I've never sharpened AEB-L before, but this one, I tell you what, it really has given me a little bit of trouble. So what I've got here is a 400 Atoma stone. I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to either grab this 1200, or I might even grab a Veneve resin bonded F400, which is around 1200 grit, and I might use that, but I'm just not sure yet. We're just going to have to see how it goes. I'm going to go ahead and start, take you guys through the process of sharpening a small EDC style knife. We are going to go ahead and get the angle. What you like to do first is you want to lay the blade flat right onto the stone, and then you want to turn that stone until you're looking at the edge here, until you see that shadow under that edge disappear. That means that the apex has touched the stone and you are ready to sharpen. I like to have mine anywhere from 17 to 18 degrees, and then I start, and I lock my wrist in place right there, and I start. That's all there is to it. The push is the same as the pull. You don't really change anything, you keep the wrist locked. A lot of people will use a thumb or a finger, as you'll see me do here shortly, on the back side of your knife to make sure that you're at the same angle the entire time. You gotta be careful with that because you can rub your finger raw, as you see I have done a few times depending on the stone. Most of the time it's the ceramic stones that get me. The diamond stones don't really bother me too much. And I think as I start sharpening bigger and bigger blades, I won't have as much of a problem with that either. Looks like the scratch pattern's pretty good on this round. We still have some coverage down here at the heel. What I'm looking for, guys, is I look at the top of the bevel where the bevel starts, and I try and see where that scratch pattern stops. For me, right here, it stops somewhere short 3/4 way to the apex. And the same thing at the tip, I can tell that it hasn't hit the tip yet either. So that's what you're looking for whenever you take your knife off of the stone and check your work. Again, this 400 grit Atoma stone, diamond stone, is a perfect grit, medium grit. It's really a coarse grit to start on. I think anywhere from 250 to 450 or 400 maybe. You could be pretty safe with those numbers. Unless you have a brand new blade or a damaged blade, then you can go down. I have a 140 grit Atoma stone I'll use. But after you get that initial sharpness from the 140 grit, you really have all that you need to continue sharpening and rehoning your blade with a higher grit stone, more like a medium 600 even would be good, or even a 1200 if the blade isn't too worn out. And you can check all these things using a regular microscope magnifying glass. I have a digital microscope I like to use. That really can teach you a thing or two about what the blade looks like at a microscopic level. Alright, looking pretty good. Tip still needs a little bit of work. I like to use the fingernail test sometimes. Just wanted to see if the burr will catch your fingernail, and if it does, you know that it is present. That really can teach you a thing or two about what the blade looks like at a microscopic level. Yeah, starting to get somewhere now. Won't be long. As you can tell, I'm focusing on the heel right now. Then I'm going to work my way down to the middle of the blade, and then I'm going to work my way to the tip as my elbow raises up just slightly. The angle does not change. And then I start lowering my elbow, and I'm back onto the surface of that blade. Now I'm going to do a few pulls, full pulls. How was you guys' Tuesday? Mine was pretty good. Had to work all day, but you know, you get used to that factor and you start just looking for the little things that improve your day. Little thing that improved my day today was I had a new sharpening stone and strop and compound shipped from sharpeningsupplies.com. They have everything that you need there, guys, I'm telling you. I actually picked up this cool little handheld 1200 grit Dia-Sharp stone. It's extra fine. Like I said, it's only about, I'd say, 4 inches long, 4x1. Cool little thing that you can hold in your hand on the go. Like I said, it's a 1200 grit, so you can refine a blade on the go if you need to. That also came with a strop, and I really enjoy finding strops that are good, nice ergonomic strops, but also the suede side. That's what I like to use for the higher micron stuff anyway. When you get to the 1 micron and below, I like to use more of the smooth side of the leather. Okay, so this is the diapace. Really good stuff, great compound. I didn't use a whole lot, but that's what's on it right now, and that's what we're gonna eventually strop with at the end of this. So back to the blade, to the stone. All right, so what I like to do is do some edge trailing strokes before I start sharpening the other side, just so I can help flip that burr over nice and quickly. Check that scratch pattern again, and I did a pretty good job that time to get the whole edge. I can tell that the burr has already flipped right on over, just like I wanted it to. All right, grab a paper towel. I always want to use a paper towel for this kind of sharpening, dry sharpening, because the metal does not like, and the burr will stick to all sorts of clothing or cotton or microfiber towels, whatever it might be. So don't do that. I'm just doing a few more passes just to make sure that I got clean to the apex before I start trying to whittle this burr down a little bit and go on to the next stone. I think that's good. All right, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and do some edge trailing strokes, just like I would if I was on the strop. All right, after a few passes back and forth, you want to check one more time, and it does look good. I like to go ahead and check this on the microscope, let you guys see what I'm looking at as well. All right, so go ahead and set this up on Wi-Fi. Pretty easy to work this thing, guys. I love it. Gives everybody a clear picture. All right, so this is the side that was down as I went forward. All right, here's the bevel. Clear that up. Okay, so I can tell already that my back push pattern, backward and forward push pattern, is not great because of those facet curved lines at the top. I'm not really happy with those. I am looking at down here, and it is straighter, and that's good. And then more important than even all of that is the actual apex, or the burr at this point. As you can tell, the edge line there has a nice little burr on it all the way down. And what you have to look past is all of that burr is a straight line that I have basically been making ever since I started rubbing this blade on the stone. So the next step is to go ahead and go to the 1200 grit stone. All right, so you guys can see me while I'm doing this. Should have done this to start with. Hey. All right, so all done with this stone. I am going to make it easy on myself and just go to the 1200 grit stone, because I know that it will cover these scratch patterns just fine, and the process is just the same. Now we are just refining that burr that you guys just saw on the camera. I should have looked on the other side, but I'm pretty sure that this side looks fine as far as the scratch pattern being straight and parallel, the lines being parallel to each other. Not straight, you know, not straight down. Obviously it's at a 45-degree angle that you see the lines, but what they call facet scratch patterns, or whenever you have a different angle that you accidentally do, whether it be by practicing the wrong muscle memory, or usually that's the case. All right, looking good. I can tell I've already put my new scratch pattern up there, pretty much down to the wire, and that tells me even more information because I can feel the burr has once again flipped over. I'm just going to give this a few more passes, make sure, like I said, we want to make sure we get that apex. We don't want to overdo it, but we don't want to underdo it. And like I always say, these are hard pressure passes. I am not pushing hard. I'm giving this anywhere from 1 to 3 pounds of pressure, while I think the more coarse stones, I do put a little bit more pressure and allow those coarse stones to do their job as well, but no more than 5 pounds of pressure max. Okay, it just doesn't require it. All right, I can already tell that looks better just by looking at it right now, and the burr is pretty much all the way down. I'm going to make sure of that real quick. All right, now trailing passes, leading passes, trailing passes. You know what? Those lines might have come from just that one little motion right there as I try to deburr this knife. Either way, coming out with a pretty bevel after it's all said and done. All right, that's it. Now it's time to strop. finish this deburring process. This is 6 micron diamond paste on a 6 micron strop from Diamond Sharp Supplies, or no, sharpeningsupplies.com. That's what it is. Basically, all you're doing is you're keeping a very low angle just like you sharpened it on, and you're taking a few passes from tip to heel. Alright, we're going to go ahead and show you how sharp that might be already before we go down to... Alright, so we obviously still have a burr there. It is sharp enough to cut, but let's check out exactly what we're looking at here. Alright, so I see what's going on. That burr is still looking mighty burry, if you know what I'm saying. Alright, so that's the scratch pattern from that one. Let's see what the other side looks like. This scratch pattern looks much better, much cleaner. Alright, got just the tool for this. We are going to go ahead and get busy with our ceramic rod. It's nice to have one of these on the stone, but you can use whatever you get. Whatever you got, that's fine. Alright, what's it doing here? Turned off on us. That's what it did. Check it out now. Alright, so that does look a little better. There's big chunks on there now. And basically I've created a micro bevel there, as you can see. That doesn't look good. Alright, we gotta strop this bad boy again. Alright. Got a smorgasbord of strops here we can get rid of this bad boy with. And our final strop at 1 micron. Here we go. Okay, so what this knife needs is just a little bit more work. That's all that it needs. Not much at all. Right on this 1200 grit guy here. Alright guys, we have done a terrific job at exposing the rest of that burr, and we are going to go right on into some more stropping, okay? What I'm going to do is go right through the same exact routine. As you can see, there's some of that steel that's coming off there. Alright, final little cut test here. Alright, that's obviously much sharper than before, and it just goes to show you guys that you can, there's time for trial and error, guys. Try and do this for me. Try and grab you a cheap knife, somewhere around $30 to $40 max on Amazon. Try to get D2 steel. If you really want really good steel, Civivi. Get you a Civivi knife. They have some for the D2s for at least, you know, less than 40 bucks. So grab you one of those and grab you a Work Sharp 320 1200 field tool sharpener. That's all you have to get. It's $30 as well on Amazon. You're going to spend somewhere around 60 to 70, maybe 80 bucks. All right, that's all you need right now. I want you to grab you a leather belt out of your closet, one that has real leather, and I want you to use that as a strop, and get back to me. Let me know how it goes. And yeah. Oh, and here's a quick shot of the last scratch pattern after the 1200 and 6 micron. So, could look better. I still blame the steel.